Welcome everyone to the latest episode of the Intentional Career Podcast, the podcast where we're focused on giving you the tools and ideas and tips to help you own your career and maximize all that money you invested in education, all your experience, your failures, your learnings, and help you take it all together and maximize your career earnings. Great. This week we are going to be talking about the power of authenticity in networking. And I'm going to share a very personal story with you. Now, many years ago, I went to a conference in United States, and great conference. And at the end, they had a networking night. And all I did was I looked at the names, looked at a lot of powerful people that I could build connections with, and I just went to everyone and I introduced myself, get their business card back when business cards was a thing, and I would just tell them about myself, what I did, and say, oh, can I have your business card? And at the end of that, I'd get their business card and I'd be like, yes, I've built my network. And then time will go by and I'll reach out to them. They won't remember me. And even sometimes during the conversations with them, I'd be just talking and I could see that I'm losing them. And I'd be like, what's going on? I started to ask myself, I don't know how to network. I'm not good at networking. I'm investing all this money in these network events. And I started to learn. And that's when I had this amazing podcast as well. Check out from the Unleashed podcast, one of our sister podcasts on the Unleashed Network, in a session with Felipe Carrera. I believe it's episode 28. And we talk about how to network effectively. Anyway, looking back, the big mistakes were numerous, but the heart of it is that I wasn't authentic. True and real networking comes from being authentic. You see, here's the thing. Networking authentically can lead to genuine connections and opportunities that would help your career journey. But you've got to be authentic. A lot of us approach networking all wrong. We go in there looking for how we can sell people on our services, how we can make them think we're the next big thing since bread. And then we go out there thinking about how can we transform their businesses or help them get what they want. But what we forget is that the heart of networking is people. And if you've ever met anyone that talks for a long time, what is the one thing we all find annoying about anyone we meet that talks a lot? They don't let you talk, and all they do is talk about themselves. And then they end up coming across as being self-centered. So I won't dig in too deep, but this sessions is all about equipping you with some basics so that as you go into the workplace or as you go into conferences or anything around maximizing your career, you start to remember this. Now, here's the first thing to remember. To make the most of your career, you are going to need people. And that comes at the beginning of your career when you're looking for jobs. You're going to need to apply for jobs. You're going to need to interview. You're going to need to get people to look at your resume or people be interested enough in you to want to give you an opportunity. In the middle of your career, when you are ascending, you need a network around you. You need champions, supporters around you who will go to bat for you in the good times and in the bad times. And even when you're at the top, when you're trying to stay at the top and make sure you build your kingdom or elevate your career, you need people around you. And what are people? How do we build people? We build people through networking. We build our relationships through networking. And this is as good for your business life as in your career life. And as I've grown older or less young, it's something I have reflected even in myself that I can do a lot better. Because there's two parts to it, which we won't talk about today. Today is purely about networking, which is just starting it off. And to be honest, networking, there's two parts to it. There is getting the relationship, and then there's keeping the relationship warm. Just keeping it warm and making them always remember you. And it takes time. But I want to share 3 tips that you can use to help you as you start to look to build your network in your business, in your career, in life. Your network is your net worth, really. And you've got to remember that. So first one is you have to have an authentic network mindset. And you'll always hear me talk about mindset because if you change the way you think, you'll change the way you behave. And if you change the way you behave, you'll change your habits. And if you change your habits, you'll change your life. And if you change your life, you'll change your destiny. You've heard it before, and it's true because it's true. We all know it. So, first thing we want to get right is our authentic network mindset. And the way to think about this is approach networking with a genuine interest in others rather than focusing on what you can gain. Now, if you think about me and that story I shared at the beginning, I was very focused on what can I gain from this relationship? What can I get from it to make my life better? And really, you've got to go it the other ways. You've got to love people. You've got to start to get interested in people. You have to think, I want to know more about this guy. I want to know more about this girl. I want to know more about this person. You've got to think about it that way. I genuinely just want to know who they are. What were their struggles? How did they get to where they are? How did they choose this career? What's the biggest learning from their career? What's the biggest failing from their career? Just look to ask questions that will get people to tell you more about themselves. And the way to do this is open questions. How? When? Not is it? Is it nice being a network engineer? Is it good being a CEO? Well, what do you think they'll say? Yes, no. Tell me about the life of a CEO. What's your biggest challenge? What's the one tip you would give anyone who wants to follow in your footsteps? But the honest truth is we're all human. We like to feel good. We like to be encouraged for our successes. So treat people not as your potential next client or your next cash machine. Think of them as people you genuinely want to build a relationship with. So don't think about what's in it for you. Just think, I want to get to know this person. I want to know more about them. Second, build meaningful connections. As you start to have these conversations with them, start to build meaningful connections, common grounds, anchors that they can use to remember you. So when they talk a lot, you'll say, I remember, I've experienced that before. I'm interested. You tell me what you did in your situation. But try to find common ground with people because common grounds are what bind us together. Look, we are social beings. We rely on social connections. And social connections only come from shared experiences. So the way to build that tribe silently, because it's starting to build a mental connection to say, me and you are the same, is by connecting to their shared experiences. So you build that connections and you start to build connections with them professionally. If you can, outside of business, even better, because then it shows that, hang on, he's not just interested in me for what I have to offer. He's interested in me because of who I am. And this is the thing to remember. Everybody, if it's someone who is super successful, everybody wants a piece of them. In fact, I would go as far as to encourage you is play the long game. Anything you want from them for now, just park it. Just focus on getting to know them, be interested in them, and build and nurture the relationship. And the last one is follow up with authenticity. You see, the mistake I made in my network relationship building lastly was this. I would email them very quickly. It was great meeting you. I love what you're doing. It'd be nice to hook up and do business. And they're probably sat there going, yawning, and just delete or respond to that because you're not authentic. You're only in it to take what you want from them. Look, every one of us knows when we're being sold. We know when somebody wants something from us. How many times have we all received a phone call from someone we know who's a friend or family or just someone we know? And when they don't talk to us much often and they'll call and say, hey, Femi, long time. How's it going? And you're thinking, what do you want? What do you want? How can I help you? And that's the way these people are. People who are super successful get people come to them all the time. But wouldn't it be nice if you were authentic to say, it was really great meeting you, to learn more about your interest in fishing, in your interest in football, you're interested in Manchester United, you're interested in tennis, it'll be great to catch up and have a drink just to meet you. I really enjoyed it. But don't even think immediately about that. But the point is, if you got to know them authentically, if you really cared about them, if you really wanted to build relationships with them, automatically your conversation would be authentic and they would remember you because you came across as authentic. These are some 3 basic things you can do. So I'll recap again. Authentic network mindset. Go in thinking, I want to make friends. I want to build my connection. I want to build relationships. 2, look to build meaningful connections. You don't have to connect with everybody, but you do want to pick with some. There's a great saying by Ken Blanchard, one of the fathers of personal development, and his saying is always this: first, look for form before you think of function. Or what he always says is, first look for value alignment before you look for money. The point he's trying to make is, if me and you can't vibe as people, it doesn't matter anyway. We can't vibe when it comes to business, and the business is not going to work. So look to go in to build authentic relationships that are going to last, that you and the person that can vibe together. And naturally, there will come a time when you look about what you can do to collaborate together, as long as you're a person of value and you have something to offer. Because that's the other thing. Don't go in there without having something genuinely to offer that can make a difference to them. So what are the 3 takeaway actions? Number 1, practice active listening during network events. Something I should definitely have learned when I went for my network events. So practice active listening. If you don't know about active listening, it's really about you listen, you nod, you give them visual connections to show that you're listening. But as people talk to you, you play back what they've said in your own words to make sure that you understand and that they know you've understood. Number 2, follow up with contacts within 48 hours, okay? It's not just about responding, it's about responding promptly within 48 hours, but with a personalized message to show that you were listening. If you did not listen, you will not be able to craft a personalized message. And number 3, then look for opportunities to offer help or support to your network or that person. So listen out, listen to them as you build relationships, and there will come a time when you just go, how can I help? I do this. Would this be of any help to you? And that's how you build networks and relationships. I hope you've enjoyed this session. It was a really brief one, but this is what we're about. Please do follow us on social media. So Femi Akinyemi on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, or just subscribe to this YouTube channel or subscribe to this podcast. But also go into the description, click on the link and subscribe to our newsletters where we always give out freebies, tools, tip sheets, free videos that you could take away and apply to build your career and maximize your earning. But also, I'd say follow us on social media, but also sign up for our newsletter and you get all of that. But enjoy it. I hope it made an impact. It makes a difference to you. So go out this week and look to build one relationship that will change your life. But more importantly, you look around how you can impact them and build meaningful connections. Have a great week and be intentional with your career.